This is a review of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Creatures, which is a very short, not particularly good book, but it does say quite clearly on the back that it is a book for children, so I think it's only fair that we judge it from that perspective. First of all, even though the book is subtitled Creatures and the front cover only shows bad guys, that's not really a reflection of the contents of the book. Inside it's just as much about the good guys as the bad guys, men, dwarves, elves, hobbits, ents, the eagles, wizards, but of course all the monsters and baddies too. Also, if it isn't apparent from the fact that the title is The Two Towers, that does mean that there's not anything for Return of the King, like Shelob is only sort of teased at the very end of this book. So I actually do really like the idea of this book, especially for children, purely because of the variety of contents. Almost everything is just presented as small, 2 or 3 sentence paragraphs, kind of a bit like, it reminds me a lot of a DK book. And so there are the predictably boring parts, which are just recapping the movie characters and story, things like that. But then there's also plenty of behind the scenes information as well, specifically a lot of quotes from the filmmakers and the cast, designers, things like that. And then along with that, the book is also discussing things about Middle-earth, Tolkien's Middle-earth, that didn't appear in the books, things like Tom Bombadil, for example, as well as kind of, I guess, like behind the scenes information about Tolkien's writings, like the where he got certain names from and things like that. Now, if this were a book for adults, I would really criticize that direction as being very unfocused and mixing too many things. But for kids and the way it's presented in this book, I actually really like it because it's exposing you to all these different aspects of this story and the things that go into creating it as well. And I think this creates really great stepping stones for kids to be able to identify perhaps what specifically they are interested in. Additionally, the images throughout are not very good. There are just way too many stills from the movie, but often these are complemented by art illustrations, as well as like screenshots of behind the scenes screenshots of CGI renders and things like that. And I would have liked to see more of that sort of stuff, but what is there is good, I think, again, because of the variety, just providing different discussion points to get children thinking about or learning about the different aspects that go into creating a movie. And even though it sounds like up to this point I've been very positive about this book, honestly, I still don't think it's very good. Even for children, I think it is just the information is far too basic and simplistic, and it's still just way too short, which is exactly what I felt when I first read it when I was probably about 10 years old, and I mean, anyone younger than that probably isn't watching Lord of the Rings anyway. And now going back to it as an adult, it just feels like a brochure almost. It's kind of the equivalent of like eating a single Skittle. That is, you get a taste for something you enjoy, but then you have no way to sustain or satisfy that. And so ultimately it's just not even worth it. So it is only an interesting book just in terms of noting it. So honestly, I really wouldn't recommend this book to anyone except the most obsessive Lord of the Rings completionist, and only then it's because you would want this book to complete your collection. Also, the book does come with a not very large poster of Gandalf facing off against the Balrog, but mine has disappeared at some point in history.